All right, and welcome to the Boxing Life podcast with me, Tony Jeffries. Today we've got an excellent episode lined up for you. Well, I hope it'll be excellent. I'm sure it will be.
It will.
On the end there, we've got Kevin Watson. Kev, how's it going, mate?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. And next to him,
hey, buddy,
we've got Glenn, Mr. Six Figure Homes. Glenn, how's it going,
everybody?
Feeling good?
Chill out.
And then alongside me here, we've got Frank Grillo. Frank, how's it going, mate?
It's going great. I'm happy to be here today with you.
Thank you for coming on this podcast. So Frank, if you don't know, he's an actor, movie star, been in the likes of Warrior, The Grey, Captain America, The Purge, Prison Break, all sorts. Frank, you want to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
I'm fantastic.
I know.
I obviously I'm an actor, and I've been involved in martial arts and boxing most of my life, and competed in some of it, and haven't competed in other parts of it. But it's a love of mine, and it's always it's bled into now my career, because these movies that I do, my TV show Kingdom, it's all based on martial arts or you know, they're action films and stuff. So all this training that I've been doing my whole life is finally actually getting me paid.
Right. Yeah. And one thing about all this training is, I know that you don't do the training for movies, right?
No.
Because you train too hard for that, you're too dedicated for that. I think it's something that's inbred in you, the way you train, because you train like a machine. You're in this gym more than me. I'll tell you, every time I'm
here... I
here...
wanted to talk to you about that.
you stop paying
comparing your training to his?
No, I'm talking about I work in the gym, but he's in the gym more than me.
Yeah.
So, and you're 51 years old,
yeah.
Look fantastic, mate.
Yeah.
You're 2 years younger than me dad.
Oh, is that true?
That's true. My dad's 53. I'm my mum.
Oh, my. They had you very young.
No, really.
Yeah. You know, it's funny when I hear people say, "Hey, man, you're in your 50s." I'm like, "Oh, whoa." Because I know it's cliche to even sound it, but I feel, I think with the technology of nutrition and the way we train now, I feel 1,000 times better than when I did when I was 25 years old. I really do. I mean, I feel great. So,
on a slightly lesser scale, see, I'm still like 20 years behind you, but I'm the same. I feel better now than I did when I was 18, 19, 20.
Right.
Through the training and all that.
Yeah.
I think that's what training does to you. I mean, I don't train that much anymore. But Frank, we've got thousands of people in here, and I'm not one to look at men's bodies, but when you've got your shirt off all the time, mate, and your abs are popping out in people's faces, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I've got to say, you've got probably the best... I mean, this is probably the gayest thing I've ever said. You've got probably the best body that I've seen for a man.
It's okay. Look, I'm blushing. I'm sweating a little. No, and you know what? It's funny because when I was younger, I was into, I did the weights and even because I wrestled in high school and college, and I had a strength coach, and it was a lot of weightlifting, and the more I lifted weights, the less I had abs It's when I stopped all that and started training and eating a certain way, training the way you guys here, like I watch the classes,
right.
It's the fast twitch muscle. It's, you don't rest for an hour. The byproduct of that is the body that you wanted 25 years ago.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not like if you're setting out to get a body and you're lifting weights, if you want a certain look, like you want to look like a boxer, that's not the way to do it. You have to train a certain way, and it's funny, man. I just we were just talking about bullet coffee. I do my bullet coffee in the morning. I eat really high quality meats and vegetables, and that's kind of it. No secrets. Yeah.
Right. So what? I was going to say that. What's the secret of the body? But like you say, it's all hard work and dedication, right?
Yeah.
What's kind of your motive? I always ask my clients. It's a bit strange, but I always like to see like hard working clients. What's the motivation that's going through your mind what's going through your mind when you're working hard? What is it? Is it the motivation or what?
For me, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's like I feel like I always what I lack in talent. I always feel like I have to make up in working more than the next guy. Right? Because I'm not a big guy. I'm not exceptionally fast guy. I'm not an exceptionally strong guy. But if you just continue to work hard, I figure then I got them beat with that. So it's really helped me. And I hear a lot of people go, "Oh man, you don't have to work out that hard." And I'm like, "That's why I'm going to beat you. That's why I'm going to beat you." You know what I mean?
It surprised me so much because I know how hard you work in your career and acting and everything. But I think, and we say it to our staff all the time, the way you do one thing is the way you do all things.
It's so true.
So I think that's probably a big part of it for you as
It's
well.
so true. You know, I have 3 sons, and I instill that in my kids, too. It's like, you know, it's easy to say, oh, I'm tired now. I think I've done enough. I'm going to go home. That's easy to do. Anybody could do it, and most people do that.
Right.
But to stick with it, to be really exhausted and say, I think I'm going to do another 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Just because I want to see if I could,
Right.
you know what I mean? Where the head goes, the body follows.
Yeah.
So if you can get your head in that space.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think you define. And listen, my acting career has been a tough up and down battle. Nothing's ever come easy. I'm always coming through the back door.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm used to being told no a lot and
Right.
rejection. And you got to find something in your life that makes you want to keep going. And training was always that thing that said, okay, you got a bad day, go to the gym.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it hard either if you're enjoying doing it. It's just something you end up just doing.
That's right.
Exactly.
It's my church. Like I always say
Yeah.
that I'm not a
Yeah.
religious guy, but this is my
Same
church.
here. Yeah,
Same.
exactly.
You get a
Same.
lot of high-profile people, actors like yourself and other musicians, and anyone who's basically successful when they're coming here. That's one thing I noticed about them all, that they work their arse off in the gym.
Right.
Right? So I
Right.
think that just shows
It's
you,
a
like,
through line.
when they're working hard or whatever they do, like you doing acting, obviously,
Right.
to get where you are, you come in the gym and you work your ass off. Another thing that I wanted to touch on with the acting is like is the business side of it. We kind of spoke on it the other day about how boxing's got all the politics, and you're starting to see
Yep.
that now. Is that kind of the same with the acting? Is it like...
Yeah,
like
I
that?
mean, my partner and I, Joe Carnahan, who also trains here, Joe made The Gray. He wrote and directed The Gray and A-Team and Smoking Aces.
We've had Joe on the podcast.
Yeah, you've had Joe here.
Yeah.
So Joe and I are partners now, and we just made our first film called Wheelman. But we became partners because we realized that if we were just going to rely on other people giving us jobs, or our life was sitting at home waiting for agents
Right.
to say, hey, there's an opportunity, we're probably going to finish life not very happy. So because of the politics, because, you know, it's not a meritocracy. It's not like the best actor gets the role or the best director gets to direct the movie.
Sure.
It's very political. So we decided to create a company which we called War Party, and we decided to do our own thing. And believe it or not, it's been more successful in 6 months than I could have ever imagined.
That's really
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
And it is the same in boxing because some boxers are doing that as well. That's exactly what Mayweather done.
Right.
He was sick of the bullshit of all the promotions.
Right.
I mean, you can't done it. And now
McGregor. McGregor's even gone further, I think, than Mayweather. You know, he's telling Dana White, hey, F you, UFC, F you, you know, Mayweather. He's kind of really said, I understand my value as a commodity,
Right.
and I'm not going to be owned by you guys.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, like the guy or not, believe in him or not, if you're not looking at him saying, I admire that, you're crazy.
yeah, I mean, super smart.
It's almost like every major boxing pay-per-view now, at least one of the two fighters has got their own promotion.
Yep.
On the banner.
That's right.
Are involved.
Yeah.
So he set that trend now. It's like
That's right.
All these higher level boxers and world champions are starting up their own promotion companies just to take
because
a
they
bigger cut
give
of it.
away, like, you know, for me on The Purge, I become a producer on The Purge, right? Purge does fantastic worldwide. I now have ownership in that movie. Why now would I want to go and do something just for a paycheck when I could create something and have ownership in it? So these fighters who put in more work than anybody else in the world, nobody trains like fighters. I don't care if you're a boxer or a MMA fighter. Nobody understands what it takes to do that, right? Why do I want to give it all away and just get a paycheck where I could get a piece of the profits, you know, which I think is a smart thing.
With that, though, is that not like kind of burning bridges on other companies that say, oh, I'm not going to work with Frank because he's got his own thing going on?
You know what? If you're not willing to make some enemies, if you're not willing to ruffle feathers, then you're not willing to really be successful. Like, show me a successful guy that doesn't have enemies,
Right.
and I'll show you a guy who's not really successful. So you can't toe the line and want to make everyone happy at the expense of not getting what you need. Do you know? That's what I think.
Yeah, no, and so now with your production company with Joe, who, like Glenn said, he was on the podcast. Joe's great fella. If you're ever bored on social media, go on Joe Carnahan's Twitter feed. And, you know,
It's gotten him in trouble.
doesn't give a shit.
He's amazing.
Wow.
Man.
Yeah.
He
And-
walks the walk. He really
yeah,
does.
he does. He's the real
Yeah.
deal. What's the story with that? So where's that going now? What you got in the pipeline?
Yeah, so Joe came to me with a script called Wheelman, which is basically about a guy who gets out of jail, and he's a bank driver. You know, he drives the car for the
Right.
bank robbers, and he gets set up. And the movie takes place in a car 90% of the time. And it's me in a car. It's very 70s style. Netflix bought it right out of the gate. They spent a lot of money on it, and they love the film. It's going to come out probably in the summer. We're finishing it now. That launched our company, War Party. From there, Joe and I have a genre-specific company, which is thrillers and action, a lot of fight-oriented films, but only if it's authentic and real. And we have been bombarded with opportunities in the last 3 or 4 months. So we're at the point now where we're trying to pick which movies to do. We have 2 shows that are in the pipeline. I have a show called Fight Travel with Frank Grillo. I'm literally going to go to 10 of the most dangerous places in the world: Afghanistan, Dagestan, northern China, and embed myself with whatever fighting style is there and live there for a week and prove that through fighting, through the community of fighting, that you can break down every social, political, and religious barrier known to man, because the brotherhood of I believe the brotherhood of fighting is stronger than all of that. Yeah,
definitely, yeah. With that thing you're going to do there, are you going to do sparring and stuff?
Everything. I'm going to embed myself, which means I will probably, if it's sand wrestling in Afghanistan, which is, really old. Actually, they have women's boxing in Afghanistan. It's an underground. Really? So whatever it is that I go to do, we're going to travel from 10 places. And right now, Netflix is very interested in doing this with us. I will be either I'll have a fight, or I will be training extensively with them. So,
because you told me a couple of months ago about when you were sparring and you got hit in the head and you seen that little black thing you said.
Those floaters. Those floaters. It's right. Here's Glenn and here's the floater in that white thing.
So does that not want to? I mean, you're a smart guy. Does that not make you want to stop getting punched in the head?
I got to tell you, doctors are great because they help us, but doctors are not usually athletes. So the easiest thing for a doctor to do is say, "Oh, stop doing that," or don't get hit in the head.
Well, I mean, it's common sense though. You got punched in the head, now you can see a little bit. So you have to be a doctor to see you stop getting hit in the head.
I can still see those guys, so I'm okay, man. So I mean, listen, I'm going to do it. Am I going to get in the ring with Tony Jeffries and go 12 rounds? And probably not. I will control what I'm doing, but I'm going to do it.
That sounds really good. And when you do that, when you're traveling, because I know you do travel a lot when you've got in your career. What do you do about your family? Because you've got your 3 sons, you've got your missus. Do them come with you? Or that must be the hardest part.
That is the hardest part. I was in China for 2 months last year and Indonesia for a month. And that's, let me tell you, everything in life is bittersweet. There's a yin and a yang to everything. And the sad part is I do have to be away from my wife and kids a lot. Right. And that is unfortunate. In this case, the great thing is I'll only be gone for 10 days at a time, and we'll probably scatter it. But I'm going to places, literally. We have a fixer in every one of these places. The only way I'm getting into these places is because of fighting. Right. Like I have people who are top-level fighters or commandos that are getting me into these places. Otherwise, Americans can't go to these places.
Wow. I mean, for someone like you, that must be so exciting.
I'm over them. And my agents are like, where are you? What? When? Why are you going there? Because there's not a lot of money in it. It's, it's really a docuseries. Yeah. But I think what's going on now with Trump, with the country, how everything's divided and the racial tensions and religious tensions, it's going to be an interesting thing to go and to show how something like fighting, wherever it is, or whatever form of fighting, which is a violent thing, could actually bring people together.
So it's kind of like an Anthony Bourdain, no reservations thing, but
that's
fighting,
the pitch.
So it's going to be better.
That is the pitch.
That's awesome.
That's exactly the pitch.
I love
That's
that.
quality.
Yeah.
So now you're in your career. Now you're doing well. You're a very well-known actor. Was there a big turning point, or was there one big movie role or one big TV show that really took you to the next level? What was that?
Yeah, and it's funny. Talk about fighting. It was Warrior.
Really?
And that was a long time ago, and I was not a young guy when I did that. I mean, I think I was probably 40 when I did that. It's been a while now, but I've been working my whole life since I was 25 years old. I was on soap operas and sitcoms and TV, and some things would last. And you don't realize how many actors are out there that work all the time, make a great living, that you just don't really know who they are. Maybe you could see their face, but Warrior, which is the movie I did with Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton and Nick Nolte, Brian Callen, it popped. It popped.
Nice.
And people noticed this guy and they went, wait a minute, are you a trainer? I'm like, no, dude, I'm not a trainer, but thank you.
Yeah.
I got a call from Arizona State University to help them coach their wrestling team. I was like, I'm flattered, but I'm not really a coach.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
The thing I recognise you from was the Prison Break.
Yeah, Prison Break. That was before Warrior. Yeah.
Right. Do you get recognised much now when you're walking around the streets?
Oh, now. But I'll tell you, from these movies, from my TV show, but from Captain America, once you're in a Marvel movie, it's over. And I'm telling you, from one end of the planet to the other, everybody watches Captain America.
What, like, took you to the next level?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, to the point where, I would go to my hotel and there's, 50 people. I don't know how they know I'm there, but there's 50 young people which is amazingly flattering, and it happened to me later in life. So, I'm not a young kid going, oh, I'm famous. It's like, oh, wow, it's like, I sign everything. Like, It makes my agents and people crazy.
Yeah.
Like when I'm like, no, I'm going to sign every single, because I have dolls of me and stuff. I'm like, I'm signing. Somebody's waiting online I'm staying.
Yeah, that's great. That's like, even when you come in here, the members are like, that's that actor in there, Frank Grillo. Oh, I go and see him. He'll talk to you, and it's great because you see him. You're talking to all the members all the time.
Absolutely, because you know what? I was a man before I was an actor.
Right.
I wasn't an actor before I was a man. And I think the thing in Hollywood is there's a lot of young boys that become actors when they're kids. And then they're men, and they've already been famous. So it's a real tough... I feel sorry. It can mess you up, I was a man. Same with athletes. Same with athletes. But, I was a man long before I was a successful actor, and I have a family. And anybody who comes up to me and says, hey, I saw you in this... I'm like, really? I'm like, that's great. I appreciate it. What's your name? Right. Like, thank you so much.
That's cool. So would you say that was your biggest role, where most people seeing you in the Captain America thing, or does people see you in stuff?
Well, now it's the Purge movies too. Were huge all over the world, and those movies. Like I was in those movies, I'm like a badass. Like I'm saving the world. Yeah. So people tend to think you're that guy.
That's good that way. I mean, that's not a bad thing, is it?
You look like
you. So now, like you said, I think this is a great question after what we've just spoke about. You were a man before you were an actor. Now you're mingling, rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest superstars in the world. Do you ever get starstruck?
Yeah, but not by actors.
Right.
Isn't that weird? I never get starstruck by actors, and I've been around everybody. I've worked with everybody. One of my closest best friends is Liam Neeson. So to me, he's like the guy. Do you know what I mean? And he's one of my closest pals. But I get starstruck with athletes. Yeah, that's what gets me starstruck.
Yeah, I remember you told me that before.
Right now, looking
I'm
at you.
starstruck right now. No, because I understand what it takes to be an elite athlete and then to be a champion.
There's like an awe or like a level of respect that's like in there, right?
Absolutely,
yeah.
and it's very few people. You're an Olympian. You're a medalist in the Olympics in boxing. I mean, that's a lot of work, man. Right. You're a bad man.
Thank you. So what would you say, like the more, like you were talking about the motivation for your training? What about the acting now? Because you seem to be balls deep in your fitness, and acting's like it seems to me, knowing you, your acting's like secondary to your fitness training. Yeah.
It's funny because in a sense it is, and in a sense what I do now in my career really revolves around my physicality. I'm not looking to look. There's some people who can do great things. They can play a transsexual math teacher who, you know what I mean? Right. Like, and it's like, wow, you're great. This guy's playing this woman, and it doesn't interest me. Right. What interests me is the common man who's not really a hero. He's a flawed guy, and he's got to take a journey and make himself better. And so it's those roles that I am attracted to.
That reality, right?
That reality. Like take the movie Taken, for instance. There's a guy down, and he has to find, and he finds his relationship with his daughter, and then he realizes he's a better dude. At the end of the movie, he's a better guy. And those are the kind of things that I enjoy taking on, because a lot of it is not just acting, it's the physicality of it. It's being a man. The movies I love are movies of the 70s, with Charles Bronson and with Kurt Russell, and when men were, Lee Marvin and Steve McQueen. I love those kind of movies, and I want to do those kind of movies.
Yeah. Good stuff.
So moving on now, you're helping a good friend of ours, Chris Van Hayden.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little bit. How did that come about?
Yeah, it came about by coming here. Brian Callen said, you have to go see Chris at Box and Burn. He's a great coach, a great trainer, and he's a fighter. And I came here and we started training. I mean, you saw when I came with him. And something about Chris, there's a naivete and an honesty and a beauty about him and about his journey that I just felt like, I think maybe I can help him because he wasn't being managed correctly.
Right.
And long story short is, my partner Joe and I got him out of his old contract. Chris was just ranked last week 10 WBA, 15 IBF. Right. Which we were an integral part of getting him ranked, which he should have been, because he lost one fight to Errol Spence Jr., which most people do.
Right, he's
you know what I mean? He and it wasn't, and he held his own.
Yeah, he did.
So now we're looking. And it's not a money investment for me. It's a kid that I really respect and love and want to see him get the right opportunity. And Tony, the right opportunity doesn't necessarily going to be a champion but it's at least that you get the right opportunity.
Yeah.
And it looks like we're going down that road with him. Yeah.
And like what we spoke about earlier on, I told Chris that the best thing about him working with you and Joe is he's already loaded.
Right.
You're not working with him for the money.
No, I don't even like talking about money. It's like I have, knock wood, I make a nice living. I have enough money, and money's not what doesn't motivate me. Even when I work, money does not motivate the roles I take. Right. And he certainly is not he's not the pot at the end of the rainbow for me. Right. So exactly, I'm more concerned with him. You know what? I'm a father of 3. I see him as he could be my kid, and I want to help him.
Yeah.
And
for you two as well, you couldn't ask for anyone better to work with in terms of a professional fighter. How dedicated that guy is.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean? He lives it 24/7.
I've never seen forget about fighter. I've never seen this guy. He is never more than 3 days away from being fight ready.
Right.
I mean,
on the way.
I tell him, I say, bro, you got to relax a little. Like, go on a date. and he's like, I can't, bro. I can't. Because he's so focused, and he's like, the moment is going to come, and I've got to be ready. And that's some great athletes just always have to be in that mindset.
Yeah, I've been around athletes and boxers all my life, and I don't think I've seen anyone like him. He's just non-stop. He's just non-stop. He's a bit of an enigma to me. Sometimes he walks in here and he looks like he's about 112 pounds, and he's 6 feet tall. He's not a little guy. Yeah. And I'm like, you need to eat some bread, and you need to stop training for a day. But he's driven, man. It's amazing to watch. Yeah, and with having you and Joe in his corner, I think that's just going to be great for him. Because like we said, you're not wanting the money in, where all these other promoters and people who's in business, in boxing, the management side, they're in it for the money. I know. And the horrible. I got ripped off a lot, and I know Chris has been a little bit unlucky. He's been a bit unlucky, and Joe and I have gotten a great education. We were talking about this earlier. Joe and I have gotten a great education about the business of boxing in the past few months, and I was like, wow, man, this is a tough. I could see how some naive young kids get taken advantage of because they see an opportunity in front of them, and all they know is they want to fight. Yeah. And before you know it, they've signed away any opportunity they ever might have of ever kind of making a living.
Is this something that you want to do more of, you think, with other boxers or other fighters?
I would. I love boxing so much. Yeah. I admire boxing so much. It's the most beautiful, I think, sport to watch. I'm beyond a fan. It's a part of my culture. I would, if I could be of service and not try to make money at it, but find a way to not go broke, but to be able to support these guys would be cool. Yeah. And like you said, so many young, naive boys get ripped off because boxers don't necessarily come from good backgrounds. They come from the rough neighborhoods and all that. So they've got no knowledge about business. I don't know anything about that. So as soon as a promoter, there's a piece of paper, sign that, I'm going to give you 10 grand. Fuck. 10 grand, right, of course. That piece of paper signed. And that's it. Little do you know, you've just signed them 50% and then you're getting 50% or whatever it might be. It's terrible. And it happens all the time. It's not unlike the music business when you get a young band A young band, the manager finds the guys who are the young garage band, and they go, sign this. We're going to represent you 4 albums. Here's $50,000. If you read the fine print, nothing is theirs. They basically become employees for the manager, and that's the end of that.
It's crazy how that number changes with age too. Like if you just say the word $50,000 and you're 18, 19 years old, you're like, holy shit. You say $50,000 when you're like 35, 40, you're like, that's going to last me like
about 11 days.
Yeah. It's so sad to see because my background coming from basketball, but any sport, football, basketball, these people leech onto these kids at such a young age because they see they're these prodigies. They're going to be something major, and so at some point, people are going to leech onto them and just try to take advantage of them and go along the ride with them. Sure, they might want to help them here and there, but at the end of the day, it's more about trying to be a part of that money machine.
The money machine,
gonna be. And it's so sad. And you wonder why these kids have trust issues. And you got 18, 19-year-old kids in college sports, and it's supposed to be amateur athletics, but it's all about money. It's all a business. About money. It's so sad.
I had another buddy who was in the Olympics, Jose Navarro. He was in the 2004 Olympics. He was a Mexican kid out of L.A., went through the whole thing, went to the Olympics. He didn't win. He didn't medal. He came out. He went pro. He won like 10 fights. I think he got involved with Golden Boy. It all got muddy. Before he knew it, he owed them money somehow. And he's like, I quit.
Yeah.
I can't. I quit. Like if you have to get in the ring and you don't want to get in the, I can't imagine.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's awful.
Sure.
Yeah.
And none of these boys are paying a lawyer $500, $600 to look at read this contract, or you just read it, you can't understand anything.
Right.
And you trust what they say and you sign it. Next thing you're fucked.
I know. And you're
not only physically is it probably the hardest job in the world as well, but you throw this on top of it as well with career management and the politics.
Right.
It just makes it ludicrous how difficult it is.
And then after the fighter's done fighting, he's got to wait to see what his next fight is, and then there's that downtime. And I've seen my friends who are fighters, I've seen them get depressed between the fight that they've just had and worrying about who they're fighting next. And that whole wait, it's just crazy.
You're just waiting and waiting. It's just horrible. It's a horrible place to be.
We're really selling careers in boxing.
No, but you're right. Listen, boxing was born out of poor economies. The toughest kids in Ireland, the toughest kids in England, the toughest kids in Italy, wherever you go, boxing is what got them out of. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was a sport. It's a sport. It's a sport that's born from poverty, really, from struggle.
But then there's like the 1% or less that really helps and boosts. Like I wouldn't be sitting here now if it wasn't through boxing. So I can't hear it that much, even though I'm not a big fan of that side of it. But I can't complain about
you can't complain about it, because if you're just talking about boxing as a sport and its purity and the sweet science, I mean, there's nothing. I think nothing better. I could watch a beautiful thoroughbred run around the track. I could watch, beautiful women play volleyball. But when I watch two guys in the ring that really know what they're doing, I'm happy.
So you're more into boxing than MMA?
Way more. But MMA, and I've been involved in MMA for a while. MMA is just, to me, it's brutal.
It is.
It is brutal to watch, man.
But even the
modern day Rome, isn't it?
Oh my God!
Even the politics side of that in the UFC, crazy as well, mate. It's crazy as well. Same with the money, trying to hold on the money. And cause I was in Brendan Sharp's corner for his last 3 fights, and I was with them all through camps. And then I seen when we got to the day before the venue, the day before the weigh-in, they got everyone in the room, all the fighters, and all the fighters. Make sure your fight doesn't go the distance. We need to see knockouts. And I'm thinking, what?
What kind of pressure is that?
Yeah. Next day, after weigh-in, they get them all together. Make sure, on the day of the weigh-in, make sure there's a knockout. You don't want to let it go to the judges, anything can happen. The next day, everyone keeps putting this in there. Even Dana comes. So now you've got people coming from Russia who's coming to here and that, now they're not going to perform to the best because they think they're going to have to knock them out.
That's
just for the entertainment.
So there's no strategy. The strategy is I got to knock you out.
Exactly. Right. So the game plan kind of changes, and then the trainer's like, if these Russian trainers, they'll be thinking, if he wants a career in UFC, he's got to get them knocked out.
Right.
Now he's going to make mistakes.
Right.
So I mean, it's a business.
Listen, Dana, I know Dana a little bit. He was a fan of Kingdom. He came down to set and he did his podcast on our show. He's a really terrific guy, but guys like Anderson Silva, guys like George St. Pierre, you're talking about the highest level champions in the UFC. He would get mad at them if they kind of Floyd Mayweather.
Right.
He didn't want to see Anderson Silva run around for 5, 10, 15 minutes. He wanted him to fight. But that's that was his strategy.
It's almost like UFC is like a marketing company, and like they're using fighting as a means to do you know what I'm saying?
It is.
It's almost great marketing.
It is. Yeah. It's not unlike the WWE.
Exactly.
It's really not. If you look at the template of the WWE, and it's a brilliant business model.
They're kings of marketing. Their marketing is
kings, and it's the same thing. It's really kind of the same thing. Right. Only the fighting obviously is legitimate, but it's controlled in a very similar fashion.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your big fight.
I do have a big fight, guys.
Big fight coming up.
Yeah.
The legend.
Well, the legend. Yeah, my character, who's 175 on the show. No, my character's a guy named Alvy Cleaner who owns a gym. Long story short, I get offered $1 million by Brian Callen, who was on my show.
Right.
I had to give him a job. To come out of retirement and fight a one-off Legends fight. And I'm fighting, my character, Alvy Cleaner, is fighting the real Matt Hughes, who was one of the greatest middleweights in UFC history. I mean, he is truly a legend. Yeah. So Matt and I have been getting together for a couple of months, talking it out, and now he's flying into town this week. And for 3 weeks, we're gonna train hard. We're gonna make this fight. It's a 5-minute round fight. We're gonna make it better. And this is what I said to Matt. I said, we have to make it the best fight you've ever seen on television or in the movies. So that's our goal.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta bring him here.
Yeah, he's going to come here.
Oh,
he's going to come here and train with Chris, too, because he's not a good striker. So I want to get him comfortable with punching a bit. So we're going to bring him here. We're going to train for a bit. And, maybe we'll have some fun with him.
Yeah, that'd be great. What would you say now, like moving on again, one of the last things I want to leave you with is your goals moving forward in your future. I'm sure you've got a lot of different goals, right? And I want to know about how you set goals and how you accomplish your goals. Is there something to it, or do you just go with the flow? How do you do that?
I don't go with the flow, and at the same time, I don't set goals, and I'm very stringent with trying to, complete the goals that I've set for myself. I have some goals that I'd like to achieve in the next year with my company. I have some 5-year goals that I'd like to see myself achieve acting-wise, which I'm already setting up in the pipeline. Right. And then after that, that's kind of it. I'm getting to an age now where I want to lean more towards producing my own stuff with Joe and kind of setting myself up financially so that I don't have to just do anything at a certain point in my life when I'm 60 years old. And my thing about life, a good friend of mine, Kevin Uvain, who's one of the owners of my agency, CAA, he's a brilliant man, is very successful. And he told me when I was 40, he said, let me tell you something, because I would complain to him, I'm never going to do it, I'm not going to get what I want. He says, listen to me, there are no rules in life, none. There's no age rules. There's no rules that anybody could put on you that you have to abide by. He said, your success will come whenever you decide it's ready to come to you, believe it or not. And if you live your life knowing there are no rules, you'll be okay. And I have to tell you something, from that speech until now, my life has changed exponentially because I refuse to believe that anything anyone tells me I have to live by.
Sure.
And
that's great advice.
It sounds simple, but I have so many actors come up to me and go, hey man, how do you do it? I go, there's no rules. Just work hard, believe in yourself, and there are no rules. Like anything could happen at any time. Yeah. I always tell everybody, read the book Outliers. It's a Malcolm Gladwell book. It's about success. And you understand how it's tracked, 10,000 hours of practice, of sparring, makes you an expert at that thing. And then the rest is the rest. And it's jazz, man. Like let it come and have some fun.
That's the book you taught the trainers to read, right?
Yeah, a couple of times. I love that book. I thought it was amazing. He's got a couple. Gladwell's got several good books.
Now he's got a philosophy. When you talk about him, it's called Gladwellian. So he's got a couple of great books. David and Goliath is another great book about the little guy beating the big guy, and I'm not one for self-help books, but this guy's onto something, and it's all scientific about success. About nobody walks in here who's a successful singer, or whether he looks like a vagabond or not. There's been a lot of rehearsal, and there's been a lot of practice, and there's a lot of pitfalls, and so it's I give that book to everybody. I said, read this book. Yeah. It'll show you that there is no accident to success.
Yeah. The name is what again? Tell me.
Outliers. You're an outlier because you do. You play the piano for 10,000. Yep. A lot of kids are out in the playground, and there's this one kid playing the piano from when he's 6 years old till he's 16. By 16, he's an outlier. He can play the piano as well as anybody. Yeah.
I love that. Well, thanks, Frank. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thank you, guys.
Where can people find you if they want to get in touch with you? I want to follow your career.
I'm on Instagram on Frank Grillo 1, I think is my handle. The same thing on Facebook. I'm on Kingdom. I'm on TV, Direct TV on Audience Network on Wednesdays at 9 o'clock.
Kingdom's out in the UK now too, right?
Kingdom's in the UK. It's in Australia. It's in Japan. It's in Germany. It's all over the place.
Nice.
I'm proud of the show, and I got a movie coming out called Wheelman with Carnahan in the summer. Another movie called Stephanie coming out in the summertime. So
what happened to your Twitter account?
You know what? I got rid of my Twitter account because my kids were on my Twitter account, and there are some mean people on Twitter who say some vulgar things.
Yeah. Right.
So I had to get rid of my Twitter account.
Yeah. Smart move.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, mate.
Thank you, brother.
I appreciate it, mate.
Thanks.
Nice one.
Thanks, guys.